Spaceship Junkyard. Chapter 4. It was Monday. Chloe's parents took her and Brian to their lessons. As they entered the school hall, they were very surprised to see on the interactive board that this week had been declared a War Awareness Week. It turned out that Matt, as captain of the school football team, had decided to take this step. This meant that the middle and high schools would have extra history lessons all week on the subject. So he decided to gather additional information that would help them learn more details about these events. Chloe entered the hall. The first lesson of the day was physics. Matt was already at the desk and took a seat in front of her. "Hi," she said, almost in a whisper as the teacher had already started the lesson. "Did you have time to do all this, Dot?" "We'll talk at break." Matt replied in a whisper. At break they met Brian. "I could barely stand this literature class, it's so boring, it couldn't be worse," he said instead of greeting them. "Matt, when did you manage to do all this?" "Last night, my dad suggested this plan." "What have you got there? Any luck with the file?" Matt changed the subject. "This process isn't that fast. I've tried opening other files from the drive, just for interest. About a third of what's there is damaged, probably from age, and the humidity is not insignificant, you know. I'm honestly not even sure if any of this is going to work." Brian didn't want to upset his friends. "All right, I'll go to class." He didn't look at the timetable in a hurry and just followed his classmates. As he entered the classroom, he saw Mr. O'Neill at the blackboard. That meant only one thing: the next class was computer science. Brian's mood immediately lifted and a cunning plan was hatched in his head. "Hello, today we're going to learn a series of new algorithms," Mr. O'Neill began the lesson. "Mr. O'Neill?" Brian went on the offensive. "What are some algorithms for restoring the integrity of corrupted files? I recently recorded a video of my dog playing in the garden and then I accidentally dropped this flash drive in the water and now I can't open the file." "Then you have a very old flash drive," laughed O'Neill. "They haven't made those for about 50 years, they've been waterproof for a long time." The whole class roared with laughter. "I filmed with an old camera I found in the garage, it made a really nice video. Let's have a practical lesson and learn some new algorithms at the same time." Brian didn't give up. "Okay. Let's go from simple to complex," O'Neill replied. After the class had settled, Mr. O'Neill switched on the projector and a diagram of an algorithm appeared on the blackboard. He began by introducing the basics of data recovery in the first algorithm, CRC, cyclic redundant code, which is used to detect errors in digital networks and stored files. Brian whispered under his breath that he had already tried this method and it didn't work. Mr. O'Neill continued with the lesson. Hamming's algorithm can be used to recover corrupted blocks of data. It not only detects errors but also fixes them. The application of Hamming's algorithm was demonstrated on the board using lines of code. Brian muttered that another method was wasted. O'Neill suggested using the Reed-Solomon algorithm for serious file corruption as it is widely used for data recovery. "This is more interesting," thought Brian as he followed the explanation closely. He made notes at each step of the explanation to capture the key points of the algorithms. His fingers moved quickly across the keyboard as he tried to transfer the theoretical knowledge to practical application. Lastly, for today, we have a RAID-based data recovery algorithm. RAID is a set of strategies that improve the reliability and performance of data storage. During the lesson, Mr. O'Neill presented a complex diagram of the algorithm on the screen. However, he did not discuss two other more complex methods used by the military and the CIA. Brian was inspired by the lesson and determined to apply these algorithms to his problem, planning to get to work right after class. In Chloe and Matt's class, whispers spread when news of extra hours on the history of war emerged. Some classmates were eager to learn more about this crucial part of history, while others were less enthusiastic, fearing tedious lectures. "It's going to be something new, not just the usual lessons," one of the girls whispered excitedly. "I hope Matt knows what he's doing," one student muttered. He flipped through the pages of the heavy history textbook. After the tutorial, Brian began working on the corrupted files. He initiated the data recovery program by activating the first Reed-Solomon algorithm. The screen displayed lines of code, but after a few minutes of running, the program showed an error message. Reed-Solomon failed. "The damage seems to be more severe than I anticipated," he muttered. Matt watched as Brian worked. He suggested trying the RAID algorithm for error correction. Brian agreed and entered a new command. The screen displayed a new set of code, and he began to analyze the output. This time, the process took much longer. Brian watched the recovery process with bated breath. Unfortunately, it failed to produce the expected results. Despite his best efforts, the files remained unrecovered. Frustrated, Brian sighed and leaned back in his chair. "Unbelievable," he muttered. "It seems the damage is too severe for standard algorithms." Matt, observing his friend's efforts, suggested, "Perhaps we should try a non-traditional approach." Brian considered using artificial intelligence to analyze and recover files. However, he realized that more powerful hardware would be required, as his computer would not be able to handle it. Matt suggested asking Mr. O'Neill for help, as he has always been interested in new approaches and might be able to give them access to the school servers. Brian and Matt agreed to meet Mr. O'Neill the next day to present their problem and possible solutions. They spent the rest of the day preparing their presentation, ensuring they had a clear plan and strong arguments to convince the teacher of the need for their research. Brian emphasized the importance of being sure of what they were saying. They both nodded in agreement. "We have all the necessary data. Now we just need to present it correctly." The day was full of challenges and frustrations, but also new ideas and hopes. The boys realized that they were on the threshold of something important and were ready to move on, regardless of the obstacles.